all players on deck. Latrell, Ilias and Graham back from injury. It's good timing for them at this time of the year, isn't it?
It's terrific, mate, and I had a look at their stats today to see how influential Latrell is in that side. We know Turbo at Manly is almost legendary influential, but South, with Latrell in the side, wins 76%. Without him, it drops 58%. And they would not be playing with a high-performance guy like Travis Toomer in charge of that side. If there was any risk, he would not be running onto the stadium tomorrow night.
It's interesting to mention those stats, Buzz, because I look at them as well. And when you look at the actual stats, you know, metres made, all that sort of stuff, there's actually no discernible difference this year with and without Latrell. It's purely the win rate.
Yeah.
I think they've won 8 of 11 this year.
But they also score more points with him in the side.
Well, it's funny, if you look at it, the points scored, they're actually quite similar.
They're
the average
they're
points
a different
scored,
team, though.
But they are a different team.
They are a different team. They're a side that are a good team who could possibly make the top 4 or top 4 teams in the competition. Latrell takes them from a good team to a potential premiership team. It's as simple as that. Is there any risk there with Latrell playing? Do we know how severe the injury is?
Has to be a risk. Look, if you fail to finish the training session,
but you wouldn't play. Would you? They've got a tough run, right?
Look, there's a tough look. The fact is, there's not a player in the game who doesn't have a niggle here and there. And this time of year, they would make a decision about how severe the injury is, placed against how much they need him, not only for the win this week. I think obviously they're looking pretty sweet to make the 8, but also just to maintain that momentum. And against such an important rival, the grand final rematch, there's a lot of reasons to play him, and you just got to make that decision based on what do you want more? What's the greatest threat? If you think he gets through the game, and Latrell knows that better than anybody. Groin's a tricky thing.
I don't think they'd risk him though.
They're not going to risk him. Well, I'm not saying they're risking him. I'm saying he's got a niggly injury.
You're not saying that.
That's what you were saying.
I'm just having an opinion.
He might have an injury.
No, I'm saying if there's a niggly there, they're certainly not going to risk him for the rest of the year.
Kenny, that was so professional since he was hurt and how they handled it and how they sent him into America, how they basically held him out of Origin and Travis Toomer spoke to Freddie and said he wasn't really ready. And was all aimed like a 2-mile racehorse from Melbourne Cup to peak at this time of the year. And I really think...
And so what does he do then if he suffers a small setback and you're peaking for the rest of the year? Given the fact that the team is in a bit of a run with momentum, that they've had a bit of a hot streak at the top, you don't want to take Latrell out and you don't want to risk all that. So you say to Latrell, how bad is it? Do you think you'll get through the game? Do you think you're much chance of aggravating it? He says, no, I think I'm okay. That's it. If it's a risk of potential deeper damage to the muscle, long-term injury, of course they don't play it.
Yeah, but you've got to back their high-performance team. They know better than we do. We're not at training. We're not at recovery. We're not,
Surely they would have run it by Latrell as well. Yeah. I mean, ultimately they would have asked Latrell whether he felt he was right to play. And they were locked in a...
What's wrong?
What's up?
Nothing.
What's up, Kenny?
No, I just think we're talking about the obvious.
Anyway, they're locked in a dogfight for the top 4. And you know what? They can't win I don't think any team can win the comp from outside the top 4. And they're locked in a dogfight.
I disagree.
Do you really?
I think East could win from outside.
4 in a row, you reckon they can win 4 games in a row in the finals?
I do. I think this might be the year.
The Roosters?
Yeah,
you're tipping the Roosters to go all the way.
I'm not tipping them, Brace, but I think they're capable of it.
Get off the fence and make a call.
I'm not on the fence.
Make a bold prediction.
It's got to happen one year, Kenny.
All right, I'm not against you, Buzz. I actually think the Roosters are a chance.
You're running with me.
Wow. Let's all pause and... Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Fireworks between Arrow and Lennu. They fired up last time these two teams met. They have got a bit of a history there. Do we expect this to carry on in the game on Thursday?
Well, Jai's had a bit of a stomach bug this week, but he said, texting him earlier this week, he said he'd be right to play. I think it will. I mean, there's a real edge to these games between these two sides. And last time they played, obviously, in the lead-up, Arrow and some others had spoken about targeting Nathan Cleary because he'd come back from the shoulder problem, and Lennu took offence to that, wouldn't shake his hand at the end of the game. So there's plenty of bad blood there.
We want them to fire up, don't we?
We do, we love it.
You like them to fire up, Buzz?
I do, as I say it every time on this show. Feuds, bring them on. Brings people to the ground. It does,
Christmas
Ken.
card list. That's what we want, Buzz.
Gets
Christmas
viewers
card.
when you two feud.
Mate, how many feuds have you been this year? You'll fill the
Still
Christmas card.
rising, Buzz. So You're about to get on
All
the
right,
list.
this week's Rookie Watch, all thanks to Musashi, is Isaiah Tass. Big fan of Isaiah. He's an exceptional player in the centres. He's come on leaps and bounds since he's come into the top grade. There's been big raps on Isaiah, and they've needed him with a shortage in their outside backs, and he's produced so far this year.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's been just what the South Sydney Rabbitohs needed as a player to come in. Had a couple of injuries. They were a little bit skinny out there at different points this year. It was a bit of a concern earlier in the season. Obviously, Isaiah wasn't ready for it back then, but it's a concern earlier in the season. But the way he's come in recently has been tremendous for him, tremendous for the club. And it's what they need. And you've got to have a little bit of depth there. And with Campbell coming back and whatnot. So,
They've needed him to step up. They were short.
Yeah,
they were short. So he's done a good job now. For Penrith, Edwards and Martin back into the team. These are huge inclusions. I had them a chance of beating. Well, I thought they'd be a real good chance of beating Melbourne last week. As soon as I saw Edwards out, I put a line through him. That's how important he is without Cleary and Luai. So good to see those two back.
Well, as I've said all along, Edwards is not Tedesco, Turbo, Latrell, but he's next bracket with Gutho and those sort of fullbacks and Pappenhausen. And I don't know if Ivan Cleary would swap him for anyone. He loves him. He loves how hard he is, how he jumped out of that moon boot and played a grand final with broken bone in his leg, you know. And he's
consistent.
Yeah.
He's consistent.
He's tough too, mate. He's so tough.
I still don't think it compensates for the loss of Cleary and Luai, though. I mean, you're talking about your two halves, your two key playmakers, and as good as Dylan is, and he is an outstanding player, we are talking about the New South Wales halves.
Yeah.
And they're two, that's a huge void for that team that they struggled to fill last week.
I just think with Edwards in the side, though, it gives them more of a chance than a lot more of a chance. He can get them over the line just through pure toughness and just get them to a point where they can. What do you think? How do you think they're going to go against us, Kenny?
I like them against us.
Yeah.
Look, to me, the concern for Penrith and their recent performances has been their defence. I know they didn't score last week, which is the first time that's happened in quite some time, but just defensively they haven't looked the same. And with Edwards back there, he helps direct the defence. They just need to get the aggression back, and Martin's a significant addition to the defence. So, I like South, Penrith against South because I just think that the way they defend, when they're on song, they're pretty hard to beat. And I know they're missing their halves, but and particularly kicking game from the halves, that's the thing that they really lack at the last weekend.
If South are to be any hope of winning this comp, wherever they finish, they have to win this game because without the halves, the other bloke there without's Fisher Harris, the number one.
You just said that South could win it from the bottom of the 8. Now
if they need to win tomorrow night. They do. Without Fisher Harris there as well, you're not going to get Penrith on a better night.